My dear people, how are you? This is Dr. Venkat. To enable social justice, to ensure that people have access to clean drinking water, transportation from one place to the other, electricity, library, school, small port or a community center, etc., are indispensable for the community, especially if they are in an underdeveloped part of the world and also in some of the small islands. Think of some of the South Pacific islands. What can be done about this? What has been done about this? My dear people, today we are going to be speaking with Mr. Harry, a person whose work has inspired me. He uses architecture and engineering and the engineering and architectural skills and encourage students to be able to go to these places, go to these countries, and to use these skills to create solutions for these social issues. What has really inspired me with Harry's work is that quite a lot of times when people from the northern hemisphere or from Europe, USA, they go to these developing or underdeveloped countries or small islands. They take their European culture with them and try to impose that culture in these different countries, commenting that this is the more advanced culture. These ideas are much more or these ideas are better than the indigenous ideas and culture. This sometimes is being referred to as the so-called white savior complex. Each of those cultures, each of those countries have something unique to offer. The culture and the civilization has evolved over so many years. How are we taking into consideration those elements, those culture in our design, in the solution that we are creating for those culture and those region? Harry has been doing that. Harry, let us move to a Teams call. Hello, Harry. How are you? This is Dr. Venkat. So very happy to have you in our conversation series. And even though I have introduced you to the students, would you like to introduce yourself and let us know what is it that you do?
Hi, yeah, sure. Thank you for having me, Venkat. I'm Harry Thorpe. I'm one of the directors of Corkin Studio. Corkin Studio is a design and build architectural practice that runs construction projects all over the world, striving to create impact through the projects that we run, the community builds that we run.
What do you mean by community-based projects, especially in your profession as architecture and in engineering? Can you please explain that a little bit more to us?
Sure. So this year we're going to Borneo, which is an island part of the Indonesian part of Indonesia. We're going to Borneo to build a conservation center, and this basically came about speaking to a charity based over there in Indonesia, looking to um, bring more tourists to the area and teach them about sustainable tourism on the island of Borneo. Um, so what we're going through with the charity now is we're designing the project with them based on their budget and based on the materials available. And with engineers and passive design specialists and local carpenters, we're coming up with a design that we'll be able to build in around 8 weeks this summer. As part of that, we'll take a team of international participants and students and young professionals to come and help us build the project. And we'll also be working with a local team of skilled and unskilled workers both carpenters, roofers, ground workers, and we'll basically teach them about the engineering side of things, the architectural side of things. So why we've specified certain timbers, why we've designed the structure in a certain way, why the foundations are a certain size, and they will then teach us about how they use the local materials, the tools that they use locally, the techniques and skills that they've learned through their kind of learning over many decades over in Indonesia. And the idea is that everyone upskills each other and teaches each other about their culture through this project, through this conservation project that will also do good for the local community in the long run as well.
This is very interesting, Harry. The reason is sometimes it is just the people from the Western countries go to these developing and underdeveloped countries and then try to impose their ideas. But what you are trying to do is for both of them to learn from each other, which is wonderful. Harry, what place do you think engineering has in enabling social justice to communities? Can you please talk us through this a bit slowly, please?
From our experience, because I would never want to try and answer that question entirely. All I can do is tell you from our experience. I think that engineering and architecture and its place within social justice or social mobility is something that essentially lies within both the process and the built outcome. So for us, it's harnessing the knowledge that we have been lucky enough to learn through our educational institutions, whatever that may be, through the jobs that we do and through the experience that we have. And it's using that knowledge to be able to educate others, both to have a better quality of life, but also to have the safety and security of that knowledge. So what I mean by that is teaching others on maybe basic engineering principles or architectural principles might be something that then helps them to gain employment in the future or further work, or it might open up an area of education or a career for them, which in the long term is going to give them a better quality of life. And that's through the process. Through the final built outcome, this one's maybe a bit more obvious to people, is that having buildings that are analyzed and designed through the lens of engineering and architecture means that that structure and that building should last longer. It should be more resilient. It should be able to stand up to various climate issues, to any kind of natural disaster that it's designed for. And just by sheer force of being there for longer, if the building has a socially impactful program, like it's a school or a hospital or a community center, that means it's going to have more impact, because the longevity of it being able to have that impact is naturally going to reach more people. For us, the kind of extra side of the building itself is using engineering and design as a means of educating people from the actual building. So having an exposed structure or having a means of understanding the structure once it's been built means that people can go away and replicate that building. So an example of this is our Ranwa School in Vanuatu, a small set of islands in the South Pacific. We constructed a library and micro school there, and it was hit then a few years later by one of the heaviest cyclones, Category 5 cyclones, to have hit the country. The building survived. It was then used as a refuge for people to build their lives to rebuild their lives after their homes and schools had been decimated. And for the months after the cyclone, as people were rebuilding, we'd see photographs of people who'd copied the details and the structure from that building. So this is where engineering has had a direct impact on people's lives, because firstly, they were able to survive the storm and live in that building. But secondly, now they're building their homes back using those details that we left exposed for people to learn from, means that hopefully their homes will now be built to a higher standard as well.
This is wonderful, Harry, especially the example that you gave us finally. It really showcases the impact some of the engineering projects that you have done has already had on the local community and what impact in the future it could have. First and foremost is survival, and the building that you created enabled that to happen. And now people are not only copying, it was a library and a micro school that enabled them to survive. Wonderful. Harry, Harry, can you explain to us how your work contributes or has contributed towards social justice or sustainable development in the social sphere? And if you could give us like a couple of examples, it would be very interesting for us to hear.
Sure. The first example that comes to mind is a series of projects completed in Zambia in central Southern Africa. In 2019, we were approached by a charity looking to widen female access to higher education. So we went and built 4 classrooms and a teacher's office in rural Zambia. As part of this project, we wanted to kind of approach and maybe question the gender roles that had been put in place or that are generally accepted in a lot of southern and central African countries, whereby female access to construction, to education, to the built environment and design are somewhat limited. So as part of this project, we employed 50% male and female local workforce, and we took out an international workforce of over 70% female participants. And we held informal sessions with some of the older girls in the school to come on site, learn about what we were doing, and just have some clear female examples on site every day building their new school. What we found was, of course, that the female workforce were just as strong, just as active, and just as efficient as the male workforce. It was purely that they just hadn't had the opportunities to work in this particular sector, which was wonderful, and it was a really great example to the local female students at the school to see these strong women going to work every day. And our leadership team on that project was predominantly female as well. The Corking team was also led by one of our female leaders, and it really just spoke to the charity's aims as well. Following that project in 2022, we went back to the same area and we worked on a kindergarten project and took the same approach of interviewing lots of men and women for the local paid jobs on site. And what we found was a lot of the female leaders, a lot of the female workforce from that 2019 project came back and interviewed for this job. And not only did they have the letter of reference from our project 3 years prior, they also had more letters of reference from jobs they'd completed since that project. So for us, it was just a way of seeing that kind of pathway had hopefully helped in some way, helps them to find work, helps them to gain access to this area and this sector of work, and that our project had, and our approach to the project had been something that had helped them to do that.
Just to finish up, what do you think the students can do to create a change?
For me, it has to be about using your voice, using the knowledge that you have, and using the energy and the mobility that you have as a student and as a young professional. Use this for good, use this for positive outcomes, and just really understand that the skills, the knowledge that you're gaining as you learn are really unique. Being able to problem solve, it shouldn't just apply to the exercises and the workshops that you're doing at university. These problem solving skills are transferable and can be applied to so many different things across life and across the world. And really, the people that need that the most are the people that you should be looking to help. You have these skills and this ability, and it should be your responsibility to use those in a positive way, and you should look to do that in any project that you take on in the future.
On behalf of our team and the students, thank you once again.
Thank you very much.